Hello and welcome to Bird Barrier Pro Lab. My name is Michael Gallion, and we're here today with another episode, our podcast on the combination of the power wash industry with bird control. The two go hand in hand. It's a perfect marriage of two industries that can generate profit for each other by bringing great value to the end customers. So if you are in the world of power wash, right, there are a lot of people get their start. They maybe worked for a company where they did some basic maintenance. They started using power wash equipment. Well, the good news is that this is a growing opportunity. Power wash and bird control, both industries are growing rapidly, okay? And the reason the two go together has to do with some biology and science that has to do with bird control solution strategy. And we're going to get into that in a little bit. But the thing that I want to first talk about is how the evolution of what we see, people that make that merge into where they become their own company, right? You get a vehicle set up, and then you decide you're going to do power washing. You're going to go it alone. You've got this go-getter sense in you, and you've started your own power wash business. Next thing you know, you do it very well. You're very good at what you do, and then you're getting a lot of retail accounts. Maybe you landed an account where you have multiple locations of a particular big brand, and next thing you know, you're going to have to hire a crew and get 2 or 3 other people involved, and you're just slammed solid. That's the kind of company we love to work with, because once they figure out how to scale themselves and they expand, they're gonna at some point encounter something that seems to be a real problem that they themselves will want to solve. So that has to do with birds, right? Birds and the droppings can be controlled, and oftentimes what happens is you get this contract and you're going to get a set amount of money for each store. And whether you have a ton of bird droppings in one corner that you're dealing with or not, you're going to get the same price, because this is the way a lot of these contracts go. And so what we've learned is that it's not just the end customer that will want to solve the bird problem, the nesting problem, or the birds with the repeat dropping patterns, especially in retail centers. The power wash person, right? The person who owns that business wants to do the minimal amount of cleanup to bring that store back to a nice clean state. They have the same motivation. And if they're spending, every time they go to a particular one of their customer locations, and they spend an extra amount of time just dealing with birds at one location, you're going to lose profit because you're spending too much time on one property. And what you need is a simple, easy way to solve this sort of situation. So the combination of the two come together in many ways. And we're going to talk now about the biology. So first of all, if you're in the world of power washing and you're interested in getting into the world of bird control, I'm going to explain why one of the big keys of bird control overlap into what you do, and why we get so many people in the world of power washing coming to us for training. The first thing has to do with nesting. Now, if we remove this nest and we just see a bird on top of a structure, a pigeon, this is a fairly normal event. No reason for alarm, right? Birds fly around, they do their thing, and they will leave droppings occasionally, right? Having an occasional bird dropping on our car in a parking lot, that's just part of life, right? Everywhere we go, you're going to get some bird droppings here and there. But the difference is when this bird lands on a structure, is actually coming to that structure to look at the possibility of building a nest so that they can reproduce from that structure, is where everything changes. When you see a pigeon, a sparrow, a raven, crows, all these birds, woodpeckers, swallows, there are a lot of different birds that will take up what we call residency on a structure, on your customer structure, especially if it's a retail center where the image issue that relates to bird droppings comes into play, then you have something that's unique that needs to be solved with strategy. Now, a lot of power wash companies will admit that they do things their own way with lack of training. And one of the most common ways is just to get up there and power wash away the whole nest. Well, sometimes that could be illegal. You don't even realize. If that's a protected bird species and you're interfering with its reproduction, you're going to get yourself in trouble at some point. And not to mention that you will probably draw the attention of the general population or maybe the store managers. People love birds. They hate to see birds harmed, especially if there are offspring, there are chicks in a nest, there are eggs. You need to let those birds run their course. Even if they're protected birds, it makes common sense for you to allow those birds to finish their fledging process. That's the point where the birds, the offspring, are able to go out from the nest, survive on their own, and continue to live and have their free life in the skies, right? However, there are birds that are invasive species like the pigeon that you do have legal permission to remove the nest and eggs. And if you do this sort of activity, you decide to remove the nest and eggs because legally you're allowed to, you need to do it in a discreet manner. People sitting there watching you do this sort of thing, they're going to put you on social media, they're going to rant, and it's going to be bad PR. Plus, it's as I mentioned before, it's just not good business practice. Not only that, it's not good in terms of biological strategy. Birds are reactive, especially invasive species. When we start interfering with their reproduction, what they do is they go all in. They're gonna try to really push the pressure, and they're gonna elevate their amount of reproduction to protect their survival. So the nest, or what we call resident areas of roosting, night roosting, where we see repeat patterns of droppings, those are the warning sign that you have what we call a resident bird. And if you're in power wash and you have this constant trouble areas at a facility that you're cleaning up, it's going to make a whole lot more sense to go up above that structure where they're landing, where they're placing their feet and nesting, and put something up there properly. Now, the good news is that in the world of power washing, your best friend is this new technology. It's been around, I say new technology, but for many of you in power wash, if you aren't doing bird control, you probably have no knowledge of this amazing multi-sensory technology called optical gel. Bird Barrier has pioneered this technology, and it's been a game changer because where we see birds trying to be solved with bird spikes, the mistake is that if we were to remove a nest and put spikes in place of it to try to keep the bird from coming off, and bird spikes, right, they're generally thought of as a great solution to solve bird problems. They're kind of ugly, especially on retail centers. You want to be considerate of that. You're creating a visual that's still going to interfere with the aesthetic of a facility, right? And you as power wash companies, you're all about aesthetic, making things look a lot better. Well, birds will build a nest right into bird spikes. It's very common for them to put their nesting material right into the spikes and actually infuse their nesting material throughout, because and at that point the spike will act like rebar. So if you're in power wash, you probably have seen this before. You've probably seen birds up on structures and they're actually nesting in bird spikes. The reason that happens is there's a biological imprint from pheromones that have to do with the dropping and the nest material that cause them to stay put if they've had successful reproduction in this area. So there's the science that I referred to earlier. When a bird has made this achievement in their survival, where they've successfully built a nest and had those eggs fledge and come to fruition, now these birds all are residents, and they are trained biologically and conditioned to come back to this area. So using a deterrent like spikes that's only a medium pressure deterrent, used just for perching, that is when birds stand on ledges, not nest. It works very well for that. But for nesting, you're entering a world that has to be very strategically solved. And that's where a product like optical gel comes into place, but because by using a particular pattern on that nesting area here, if we lay several of these discs down in the proper pattern, and we remove the lids in this nesting area, we're gonna have a great solution for the birds for their nesting area. We remove these lids, we do. But more importantly, before that's done, we actually need to do a proper cleanup, right? We're gonna clean up this area properly. And the cleanup, for people in the world of power washing, this surface has to be spotless, right? All of this debris that we see from the nest, all of this material that we see, the droppings, all of this material that gets in this area, all contain the pheromones. So power washing, along with the proper chemical preparation that we require for bird control, there's an active enzyme in our cleaners that's a little different than what you will use, and it makes it a permanent erase of that pheromone imprint. But people with power wash equipment are equipped to do a much more thorough job, especially biological cleanup. We have some customers that do crime scene cleanup. They do biological cleanup where they do hazmat cleanups and this sort of thing. And they understand the importance of chemical treatments and then power washing away. This is half the battle with resident birds. By erasing that pheromone imprint, people in the power wash industry are very well equipped, so they're going to get a much more higher success rate. In other words, they'll have fewer callbacks to problems because they've done a good job of pre-treating and cleaning the area properly where birds are nesting. The beautiful thing of this is that the install of these discs is really easy. It's as easy as installing anything else. You're just going to glue these down and remove the lids, and that's one great way to solve it. Sometimes you will put spikes in areas that are not visual, that aren't going to be seen. We have a whole array of other deterrents that can be used that are low profile. One of the beauties of optical gel is once you take this lid off, we're looking at it from above, here looking down so we can demonstrate properly, but from below, when you look up, you can't even see this product in most cases. So the birds are solved, the droppings are solved, and the visual is kept perfectly intact. This is why the power wash industry just makes such great combination with bird control. If you're in the world of power wash and cleaning and maintenance facility cleanup, or you have contracts where you do power wash services, you can really benefit by this add-on business with bird control. We have full certification available through our webcasting. Now, this is a podcast today. Perhaps you're somebody in the power wash industry and you stumbled across this by doing a search for podcasts on the power wash industry, and now here you are, you're saying, wow, is there money to be made? Yes. Let me tell you, this can be very profitable. Not only is it profitable for people in the world of power wash, but think of it just as a preemptive measure, so that every site that you've been contracted to clean, maybe you have 40 locations in a month that you go to, and half of those have bird infestation problems. And it's very common that at least half of them will have that, because a lot of times the stores are built the same way by the same architects, and you have the same exact spots on the stores where birds will nest. We see birds up in signage, right? The channel letters. This is all very common. By using this product, you're going to reduce the need to spend more time cleaning up bird droppings. If we solve those resident birds, you come back, you may do less visits, yet your monthly contract, you're still getting paid the same amount of money. So by reducing your labor cost at all of your sites that you do power washing on, by removing the birds, is just a great business plan in and of itself. The bonus is that you're able to charge extra as an add-on specialty once you become trained in bird control. So to become trained in bird control, Bird Barrier offers full certification. We have dates coming up on our website. The beautiful thing here in California is you do not require a pest control license to offer bird control services in the state of California. There are many states that are the same way. Check your local rules, check your local laws. We can't speak for other states. The thing is that most of the work that we do in bird control does not affect the structure. There aren't structural changes. In other words, load-bearing issues never come into play. You don't have to have a contractor's license. If you're already doing power wash services, you can include bird work in very easily, and let me tell you, it can be very lucrative. Like, for example, this product, the cost of materials, many times you can charge 5 times your cost of materials. If you buy $100 worth of material, that will turn into a $500 invoice. And many times the bird work eclipses the monthly fees that you're getting because, let's face it, the power wash part of what you do is very competitive. There are hundreds of companies that are always trying to get in there and have an opportunity to do the power wash. By becoming more sophisticated in your offering, by being able to add bird control services, you're making yourself much more unique in the marketplace. Hopefully this has been helpful to you. If you're interested in becoming certified, you have the information and contacts. You can sign up for certification online. The course is about 4 hours long, but you become a complete bird control specialist and you have a lot more opportunities to do bird control work. But we love training people who already have this kind of equipment. You're halfway there in the solution by being really good at power wash. That's it for now. Again, my name is Michael Gallion. This is ProLab Studios here in Los Angeles at the Bird Barrier headquarters. We have a whole series of podcasts and we look forward to seeing you at the next one.